So this week when The Atlantic published their incredible piece about Kash Patel and the custom bottles of bourbon with his name on them that he has allegedly been handing out while conducting FBI business, I thought, well, surely no one can compete with that. Surely no one else in the Trump administration could top that kind of government-sponsored self-promotion. Well, it's quite possible former Fox News host turned Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saw that story and said, Kash, hold my beer.
Mr. Secretary, what are you doing here, sir? I'm going to your show tonight. Awesome. Jump in. I'll give you a ride. Oh, I appreciate that. But how about I give you a ride?
That was from one of MAGA musician Kid Rock's concerts last week. You know of also RFK Jr. bare topless fame from that crazy video. Anyway, Pete Hegseth appears to have used multiple military helicopters, you can see them on the screen, to help Kid Rock shoot that flashy video for him to start his concerts with. And he did that just after he came under scrutiny for a military helicopter flyby that just happened to go by Kid Rock's Nashville home. Now, the nonprofit Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington asked the Defense Department's Inspector General to investigate that flyby. And just yesterday, they got a response. And the Inspector General's office told them that, quote, Secretary Hegseth indicated that he decided not to pursue this matter. So just to pause on this for just a second. The Inspector General just isn't looking into it because the guy running the agency, his agency, as in the Inspector General's office, is responsible for conducting oversight over, told them not to, which is not at all how an Inspector General's office is supposed to work or ever works in most other administrations ever. But amazingly, that is not even the worst example of a cabinet secretary using their role to promote themselves that we have seen this week. Because today, it seemed like former reality TV star turned Trump's transportation secretary Sean Duffy saw what Kash Patel was up to and saw what Pete Hegseth was up to. Seemed like he saw what they were up to and just said, hold my beer and hold my bourbon, please.
Well, America's 250th anniversary is fast approaching, and what better way to celebrate our beautiful country than to see our beautiful country?
The Duffy family is doing just that, embarking on a great American road trip to rediscover our great nation.
I think Mud's kind of mad. I'm not.
You're mad. We're not going to fight on this trip. Put your seatbelts on.
So we're inviting you along with our family on the Great American Road Trip.
That's right. It's a real video. It's not AI. Trump's former reality TV star transportation secretary has turned being transportation secretary basically into something of a reality TV show, if you can believe it. One that provides an awful lot of free promotion for Secretary Duffy and his family, I might add. Now, Duffy told Fox News today that he has been filming this whole thing on and off for 7 months. Again, does this guy have an actual job? I mean, that is incredible. When you remember how mad Sean Duffy himself was at Biden's transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, for taking a singular vacation and, of course, going on paternity leave.
What's striking is how often this happens. There's a crisis, and Pete Buttigieg decides to ignore it. Mayor Pete went on vacation in Portugal just a couple weeks ago as rail workers prepared to strike. He was on paternity leave as dozens of container ships couldn't enter the country a year ago.
Now, remind me, Sean, can I call you Sean? When Pete Buttigieg was transportation secretary, did we have the...
Jenny!
It was the happiest moment of my life.
So his love was reflected in the shallow waters of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool and Forrest Gump. Well, we're here to tell you those days are over. In our breaking story today, the Lincoln Reflecting Pool was besieged last night by a motorcade of meanness and arrogance. That's Team Trump driving across his propaganda photo op distraction from his failed war in the Epstein files. But it is the exchange with a black female reporter, ABC's Rachel Scott, that has the internet buzzing. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. Please hit that subscribe button if you think kids say the smartest things.
What's the first thing you think of when I say Donald Trump?
Small fingers and orange face.
Do you think he's smart?
No.
Why not?
He treats people badly, and that's why I don't think he's smart.
Donald Trump has a lot of nicknames for people like Crooked Hillary, Rocket Man. Do you have a nickname for him?
Poop face. Mr. Tiny Hands.
Cheeto.
Can you do an impression of him?
It's gonna be great.
We are gonna build a wall, and it will be huge.
I will build a wall. A big one.
China, China, China. Here's your paper towels.
Oh man, that was great. Well, in our breaking story today, Donald Trump, he lives up to that nickname that girl just gave him as he once again displays arrogance and attitude, insulting ABC's Rachel Scott for asking a very direct and important question. Man, he goes off on her. And you know, it's not the first time that he's made news at Rachel's expense.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
I really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some.
Oh yeah, not a racist bone in his corpulent body. In our featured story today, the most charming man in the world continued to behave like a schoolyard bully in need of a good hair pulling fix. This is kind of hard to watch, well, mostly because it's him, but also, you know, the way he speaks and the inferences he makes about Rachel Scott in response to her very legit question. And then wait till you see what he says off mic. We're going to check it out together. It's our featured clip of shameful presidential behavior.
You are here against the backdrop of war in Iran. Why focus on all these projects right now?
You know why? Because I want to keep our country beautiful and safe. Beautiful also. This place was a disgusting place. It was Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and we had a terrible disgust. I don't know, you probably don't see dirt, but I do. And you walk down this pond.
Hello guys, welcome back to our new video. There is a specific category of foreign policy failure that's worse than being outmaneuvered by your adversary. It is being stopped by your own allies before the adversary even gets a chance to respond. That's what happened with Project Freedom, and the details that have now been confirmed by NBC News, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times tell a story about how this White House operates that goes well beyond the Iran war itself. The operational concept wasn't necessarily wrong. Reopening the Strait of Hormuz by force with 100 aircraft providing round-the-clock air cover, a serious military commitment, would have removed Iran's primary leverage point in this conflict. It would have driven energy prices down. It was by multiple accounts a genuinely capable military plan. What killed it wasn't Iranian resistance, it was a Truth Social post. Trump announced Project Freedom on social media on a Sunday afternoon without informing Saudi Arabia, without informing Oman, the country that physically borders the waterway, without informing Kuwait or Qatar. Saudi Arabia, which has allowed American military operation from its territory for decades, found out about a major U.S. military operation in its immediate neighborhood the same way the rest of the world did. From a phone notification. MBS took a call from Trump. The call did not resolve the problem. Saudi Arabia and Kuwait closed the airspace to U.S. aircraft. The operation was dead before it properly started. The progress in negotiations explanation Trump offered on Truth Social for pause the operation is not supported by any reporting from any outlet. It is the explanation of a man who needed to not look like he'd been stopped by his own allies and reached for the nearest available alternative story. That story is contradicted by the operational reality. 2 ships made it through in 36 hours. One of them immediately come under Iranian missile and drone fire, and a UIA oil hub was set ablaze. Ben Rhodes farming is the analytically important one here. Nobody knows what America is trying to win. The objective started as regime change, then it became destroying the nuclear program, then it became opening a strait that was open before the war started. The goalposts haven't just moved. They've been replaced with entirely different goalposts that weren't in the original stadium. Allies who aren't told what the objective is, who aren't consulted on operations that directly affect their security, and will watch the stated rationale for an entire military conflict shift by month, have no basis for trust, and without trust, you don't get airspace access. The geopolitical drift being described is the consequence that will outlast the war itself. Gulf stated with enormous sovereign wealth and genuine strategic options are watching this unfold and updating their calculus. Qatar had its largest liquefied natural gas field taken offline, a direct economic hit from a war they didn't support and weren't consulted on. Saudi Arabia just publicly blocked a US military operation. These countries have options, and those options include Beijing. The hedging that Ben Rhodes described as already beginning isn't speculative. It is the rational response of governments that built their security paradigm and American stability and predictability, and are now watching neither be delivered. The Russia trade is the one that deserves more coverage than it is getting. Iranian strikes against US facilities in the region have been described as pinpoint accurate in ways that suggest external intelligence support. Russia has every incentive to provide that intelligence. Elevated oil prices directly fund Putin's war machine. American military assets are being degraded, and US allies are being driven toward hedging arrangements that weaken the Western alliance structure. This war is a geopolitical gift to Moscow, delivered free of charge, with the added bonus that the US simultaneously loosened sanctions waivers on Russian oil sales to countries like India because American gas prices made the politics of enforcement impossible. Going to China next week from this position after publicly failing to execute a major military operation because allies withdrew access is not a negotiation posture. It is a vulnerability assessment.